In part 3, we discover that with success, the choices that one makes can become tougher, both personally and professionally.
So was there ever a time between the two of you, though, because I've got to be thinking that you lose your license. There are people that lose their license and never come back from that. A lot of people.
Yeah.
They get down on themselves, down on their employees or their people or their family, and they never come back from it.
Yeah.
How do you lose your license and still have that heck with it? I'm going to go up there and chase another storm. Right there, you say a light switch went off in your head. Did you look at that as a positive, like this is a sign I need to move forward, or was that
we
tough?
were searching at the time.
That was tough.
At the time we were trying to come up with business ideas. My dad had really brought me in as a partner now.
Okay.
At this time, because he had started having some health problems, and he really needed me to step up to direct the company in which way we were going to go. I was the one that brought the FPL thing to him. I was the one that was really directing the ship at this time. And he was just the one in the background that was, putting fires out because his health had declined a little bit during that time.
Yeah.
And so, we're searching for things. We're coming up with new programs. We're, coating roofs and trying to do maintenance programs with the homeowners, and we're just trying everything. And then another hurricane had hit. And this was Hurricane Ike out in Texas and Hurricane Gustav out in Louisiana.
They're like back to back, I believe.
Yeah, they
right?
were. Yeah, they were back to back, and so I was really, that was in my blood to go chase these storms. I had enjoyed that, going to Mississippi, coming back to Florida. I mean, and so I had been 2 or 3 years in the same place, and I was ready to go again. Remember, I was on a 2-year mission where we moved every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was fast paced, right?
Got it.
So I was ready to move. I was ready to start a new journey.
Okay.
And so that's whenever we went out to Texas, and we moved. We left a small crew back in Hollywood, and we went up to Texas. I believe it was in 2008.
2008, you guys go up there.
Yeah.
I remember that's when the storms were, the back-to-back ones.
Yep. And so we had a lot of problems brewing back home with FPL and lawsuits and everything else. And we just decided to go up to Texas and try and start over up there. So we went up there, we started tarping, and but the Army Corps of Engineers, they had changed a lot of things about the tarping. You couldn't just go tarp an entire roof. If it was just the peak that was missing, you could only tarp the little peak.
That's terrible.
And if it was just the side of the house that had a missing shingle, you could only tarp that one spot. So going from tarping a whole roof and making that kind of money to just going and tarping a small section, the money wasn't there anymore. And so we went out to Texas, and I was staying in a tent, and I had brought some salesmen with me, and I was trying to figure out how we were going to start selling roofs, and I just started getting our contracts together, and I just started really getting where a vision was coming to me. And my dad comes to me and he says, "Hey, I need to meet with you. Come to my hotel." So come over to his hotel, and he sits me down and he says that it was over. It was over. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "What are we going to do?" He says, "Well, this is where we part ways." He says, "You're going to have to go your own way, and I'm going my own way." And I was like, well, that was foreign to me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, I'd never crossed my mind that would be happening.
Why did it happen?
It was because the business that my dad had gotten, he had acquired so many debts and things like that it had failed. And that he needed some time to regroup, and he knew that I had a family, and he didn't want to drag me along with the bankruptcy and trying to start over. He knew in his mind that I had what it took to be successful. So he kind of freed me of Douglas Roofing, Inc. Mm-hmm. He kind of freed me. At the time, I thought I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I knew I could do it. I knew I could start my own roofing business, but having it all come crashing down while I was in Texas, while there was a hurricane, and I think my dad was burnt out. He was burnt out.
Did you look at it that way when it happened? Were you angry? Because, I imagine you and your dad, seems like you guys have done a lot together. You go from the Midwest, the Mississippi, you're down in Florida, you're back up there.
Yeah.
Now hindsight's 2020 with, but maybe he was trying to separate you from what was going on.
It hurt.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
say, like, you had to be some. I mean,
I was hurt.
Yeah.
I was hurt. I felt that I had let my dad down because I didn't have any. I couldn't save the company.
You couldn't do anything.
I couldn't save it.
Yeah.
I tried. I failed. I tried to go out to Texas. I tried to come up with a plan. The FPL or the tarping, the FEMA tarping, just it all came crashing down all at once. And my dad came to me and he said, "Listen, you're not on the ownership of it. This is all on me. I got to go through a big, bankruptcy."
Yeah.
And it was very hard time, and he just released me from all of it.
So what do you do from that point? I'm not just talking to you. You've built a great company here, but we're talking about somebody that not too long ago lost a license.
Mm-hmm.
Your father did, at least. A couple months later, you go out of business. And
See, I didn't even know that he was losing his license.
This is in hindsight.
Yeah,
Now you're looking
yeah.
back, but you sit there and you go and you move. You make that move from out west to Florida to the Midwest to back to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're back there in Texas.
Yeah.
Bankruptcies happen and stuff.
Yeah.
Now you've been punched in the nose twice, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be real. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not only that, but now you're separated from your father and you've been doing a lot of things together. So where do you take things to go, okay, now Stephen Douglas is going to take things and do what with it now? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you got the family at this time, too.
Well, that's the thing is I said, how am I going to call my wife and tell her?
I just laugh because there's that, like, how many men have had that?
Yeah.
Like, I got to call my
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, how am I going to call my wife and tell her that Douglas Roofing is over?
Yeah.
Because I know what her next question is going to be. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
So I'm scared to call her.
So what is that, where does it go right there? Like the real, like you get done with that conversation, you've got to call your wife. 'Cause so many people have been in this scenario where they failed.
Yeah.
And like they have family that is depending on them.
Yeah.
And that's real. So how do you go from gathering yourself? Like, do you gather yourself? I'd be in freaking tears just about. I mean, I know sometimes emotions can get a little bit. How do you gather yourself and make something happen?
I knew that I wanted to stay in the roofing business because I had learned so much,
Okay.
And part of roofing in Florida is all the permitting nightmares that you go through, all the bureaucratic stuff, all the red tape that you have to jump through.
Yes.
Well, when I went out to Louisiana, it wasn't like that. I mean, there wasn't any permits, there wasn't any inspections, there wasn't any licensing. It was anybody that wanted to could get a truck and be a roofer.
But did you want your family in Louisiana?
I wanted to be, at the time, I just wanted to have an income because at this time I needed to bring some money in. Right?
So probably, I would assume then maybe move the family back to where you can move the family back to Florida. Let's relocate, but then you got to be in Louisiana because it's the wild, wild west out there, and you don't have the bureaucracy to go through.
Well, my son was only a year or two old.
Okay.
And I don't have any other kids yet. My wife's not working at the time, and she's going through college and she's trying to get her degree and things like that. And so. It was a great time for me to just move my family to Louisiana.
Okay, so you move in Louisiana.
Yeah,
you go all in on Louisiana.
Yeah, I do. I go all in on Louisiana, and I believe we were right into
2010, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere in 2010, 2009, and I started a roofing business, and for the first time in my life, I'm in control, and I don't have to answer to anybody. Right?
Scary?
No, it empowered me.
Okay.
I was pumped, right?
I love it.
I was, I could set the prices, I could set the crews, I could train them, I could do everything, right? So the first thing I do is I start selling roofs. I mean, there's plenty of roofs to do. It's a hurricane environment. So I go out, I sell about 25, 30 roofs, and then I have to start putting them on. I have to start doing something besides sell. Yeah, which is my dad would always do that. He would always take care of all that crew stuff. So I sell the roofs, and so I'm like, well, I got to go buy a dump trailer. So I go out and buy a dump trailer.
Got it.
And I make a relationship with a supplier, try to get some credit, right?
Yeah.
And I go out and I get a crew together of guys that can roof, and we just start doing. I just start doing everything myself. All the advertising, all the running around, all the trailers, all the contracts, all the phone calls, and I worked for about a year straight, and I was doing about $2 million a year for that year by myself.
You're doing it at that point.
Yeah, I was making good money.
So you're making good money.
Yeah, I was making a good living.
It ain't going to stay that way because someone's going to hit you in the nose again. Now, I know it ain't going to stay that way because I already know your story. So at that point, the good Lord says to you, well, listen, you're going too good over there, Stephen. I need to throw another wrench into this thing.
Well, all good things do come to an end. And so after working that storm for an entire year,
right.
I had signed a lease with my family. We're up there roofing, and the next thing you know, the business starts slowing down.
Yeah.
All the roofs get swallowed up after a year. It wasn't that big of a hurricane. Like Wilma lasted 3 years. We were eating off of that hurricane for a while.
Sure.
Well, this hurricane wasn't as big. Hurricane Gustav in Baton Rouge. That's where we moved.
Yeah.
And so we had decided that that we were going to go back to Florida, and so we moved.
But that wasn't all that happened. You had 2 more. Now you get the news, though, at that time, you got 2 more mouths to feed.
Well, not yet.
Not yet?
Well, see, I moved my wife back to Florida.
Okay.
And then I had kind of set her up in my hometown
yeah.
where I grew up, and got her a good community of people, and my kids. I wanted my son to have some stability, So we moved there, and so I'm going back and forth to Louisiana, and I'm trying to keep this business alive. It's dying. This business is dying bad, and I'm trying to make it work. And finances are really stressed right now, and so my wife, I'm over in Louisiana trying to make it work. I'm coming back on the weekends. I'm driving back and forth. I'm trying to make it work, and she calls me up. I remember where I was. I was on top of a roof measuring it, and she says, "Are you sitting down?"
You never want to start a conversation that way.
And I'm like, "No, I'm not sitting down. I'm on a roof selling roofs."
It's the exact opposite place you want me to be.
Yeah. And she's like, "You need to sit down." And she's like, "We're pregnant, and it's twins."
First thing that goes to your mind.
I was like, "What? Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Right?
"Yeah, I'm sure."
Yeah,
she
we're
said.
darn sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't call you if I wasn't sure.
Tell you to sit down with it.
So
oh my God.
yeah, so that was a big deal because my business at this time is to move around and do storms. Right? I'm a storm chaser. I'm not a family guy that has 3 kids at home. How can I continue like this, chasing all these storms and moving my kids all around?
You got to make a life decision now. You got to make a really. That's what it comes down to. Because if those things would have been thrown at you, maybe you continue with just doing the business of trying to make the roofing work, trying to just scrap and claw and doing what you're doing there. But with 2 more mouths to feed coming, I'm thinking you got to make a decision on where things are going now.
Yeah.
Maybe look for some more stability.
That's what I was doing. I was searching. And during the time that my wife was in the hospital and she was trying to have the babies, it was really, our finances were terrible. I mean, I had missed payments on our insurance, our health insurance that was paying for all this. And I'm on the phone with them trying to make sure that they're going to treat my wife. I mean, it was that bad. And so the next thing that happens is I say, listen, this roofing stuff is, and I have a buddy that's a firefighter.
Okay.
Right? And my firefighter buddy just, I got great insurance, life's great, work 24 hours, and then I just hang out for, 48 hours. I'm just, I can have my lawn business, my painting business, whatever, right? And so I'm like, well, man, maybe I should look into that. Mm-hmm. Maybe I could be a firefighter.
Sure.
And so at this time, I don't have any money. How am I going to support my family and go to school for firefighting? So, my grandma, I told her what was going on, that I wanted to be a firefighter, and she loved it. She was very supportive.
Got it.
And so they said, hey, I tell you what we'll do is we'll pay your rent and we'll send you to firefighter school. Mm-hmm. And so I took her up on the offer. And
why not just go get your own license in Florida at that time?
What kind of license?
Just go get a roofing license and go do your own roofing thing.
Yeah,
Well, why not just do that?
That's a part of the story that that I had kind of skipped over, because when my dad was losing his license, he actually sent me to a roofing school to take the licensing.
Yeah, I was thinking that's what you would do since you're back in Florida, but did that end up happening?
Yeah, I ended up going to the school, and I passed all the tests in 2010, and I went and applied for my licensing through the state of Florida, and you know what they said? You don't have enough experience.
Oh.
Because the person that you got your experience from lost his license. So we can't give you a license because the guy that you learned from lost his.
So you're hitting the nose fourth time right now, man. I'm going to keep track of this. I want you to know.
Yeah, because I'm trying to.
First of all, your father loses his license. Then you got the bankruptcy. You come back and you try to get the license, but you can't get it because the guy who lost it was the person who was teaching you.
Right. And so I wanted to have a Florida roofing business, and I went and did all the schooling, and I applied for my licensure, and I passed all the state tests, which I'm not a school guy. Remember, I didn't go to college. So this is all foreign to me. So in 2010, I did end up taking those tests, and I passed them, and I was like, bam, I'm going to have my license, back in business. And then, when the state told me that I couldn't get my licensure, that I had to work under and study under another roofer for a couple more years before I could get licensure.
Yeah,
it was devastating.
And so that's what I mean. I'm keeping track of this for a reason for you, man, because I want people to know that it wasn't, it's not just Douglas Restoration.
Yeah,
it was stuff that was way before that.
Yeah.
So you got to get experience though at that time. So I'm sure you're battling that in your head. Do I stay with roofing, or I got the firefighting thing here? Yeah. And then grandmother, finances are bad, like you said. You got the kids on the way.
Right.
So not only are you battling the professional stuff, but you got the family stuff too.